So we have $3 million, $3 million on the table. And in this video, we're going to talk about something related to money. We're going to talk about 5 costly mistakes you should avoid when choosing your business entity. Now, I'm an expert at making a lot of mistakes. And you see, I'm going to put a screenshot here for you how I had $148,856.49 bill that I had to pay for taxes for a company that made zero revenue. All because of a small error, meaning I made such a small error that cost me $148,000. Here, I'm gonna put a screenshot for you that you could see that I did not pay, but I made this mistake and I almost had to pay it. So here we're gonna go over 5 costly mistakes that you have to avoid. Now, before I give you the concise 5 things to avoid, I wanna share my personal experience because I've formed 5 companies over the past 11 years. 5 companies. And I wanna share my experience with forming these companies. So the first one I formed, it was an LLC. It was 11 years ago. I formed it, my LLC company in South Carolina. And what I did is I gave my business partner 49% equity ownership in that company. That's what I actually did. I really did this. And guess what? A month afterwards, he no longer wanted to work on it. He still had 49% of the company and he wouldn't let me buy it for a normal amount. So therefore, my LLC in South Carolina was man down. Because he wouldn't sell it. Half the company's gone and he worked on it for 2 months. So that's the first mistake I made. So the key thing for you to remember about this story is make sure to vest your equity. If you're going to have partners, make sure to have 4-year vest, 2-year cliff. That means if they leave within 2 years, they get nothing. And that way they earn a little bit every day. So somebody who stays with you 3 years, vested 3 out of 4 years, they vested 75% of your company. So that's the first company I had. Now then I formed the second company. Now, at that time, I was living in San Francisco, California, and I formed my second company. Felt very proud of it. I formed it in Delaware for no clear reason, because I lived in California, right? Mistake, don't know what I was doing. I was living in California, formed it in Delaware, and guess what? I did it all myself. Meaning I myself went on, I filed the paperwork, meaning I didn't use any service. I did not use attorneys. I filed everything. I got my own EIN. It was a massive time use for me, meaning I did so much randomness, like weird values, like to where after, and why did I do this, by the way? I formed a C corporation that time. The first was an LLC in South Carolina. This time I formed a C corporation because I thought maybe I'll raise venture capital money one day. We might raise VC funding. That's what I did. So then, after all these mistakes and noise, now I recommend never to form your own company yourself because I'm telling you, it's going to take so much time that these online services are way, way cheaper than doing this yourself. Then, since this company was kind of worthless because I did it myself and messed up everything, I got an attorney, an expensive, top-notch attorney. This is all true. This is real. Like a top-notch attorney in San Francisco. They're one of the top firms there. Like all of you know this firm in San Francisco that does this work. And we paid him 10 grand, but we actually we paid him $10,000 to do our professional company, and they did everything perfectly. Everything. Again, still a Delaware corporation based in Delaware, still a C corporation. That's what I did because we thought we might raise money. That's what we thought. Then during that journey, I formed my own LLC in Delaware. And I made every mistake in the world. That $148,000 bill I got is this for this nonsense LLC that I formed. I had a business idea, and I did the LLC again in Delaware. Did all the paperwork myself. As you can tell, that's why I got a $148,000 bill. I'm gonna put a screenshot for you so you can see this is real. Because I thought I was going to start another business, another company. I started doing it. My business was not successful, but I still had that $148,000 bill. Meaning you can make so many massive mistakes when forming your businesses that'll lose you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And guess what? My revenue was zero on that business. My profits were zero. My revenue was almost nothing, and I had a $148,000 tax bill because I filled out wrong stuff. Then after that, I formed one more company. I formed an LLC in California that I used an online service for, right? I did not do it myself. I did not do it through my expensive attorney. I formed my LLC and it was smooth. Did it online, it was smooth formed. And then when I moved to Miami, Florida, we changed it from California to Miami, to Florida, right? It became a Florida LLC. And the one more cool thing I learned here is I elected an S Corp election. An S Corp election means that the profits and losses just pass to me, so the company doesn't even file any taxes. It's just I file taxes. I will file taxes. So those are my experiences with forming these 5 companies and running up $148,000 tax bill for that one silly LLC I did in Delaware. And before we get any further, I'd like to mention that this video is sponsored by zenbusiness.com. Guys, I highly recommend use this company to form your businesses. Whether you're going to form your LLC, whether you're going to form your C corporation, or whether you're going to use the S corporation election in your LLC, use zenbusiness.com to do this for you. They have the expertise and the know-how to do this right and headache-free for you. Remember, I made so many mistakes, whether doing it myself or whether hiring very, very expensive attorneys. Use them. I'm telling you, it's the best way to go to use zenbusiness.com to incorporate your company. They have 100,000 companies who use them. 100,000. They have a 4.8 rating out of 5 on Trustpilot. And guess what? 4,500 reviews. They're trustworthy. They have a lot of customers. They're fast. They'll make sure you're compliant. And they're affordable. You don't want to make mistakes with these things because these mistakes are very, very costly and expensive. So sign up for zenbusiness.com. Get them to form your company so your business can be formed and you will be protected. Now, here are the 5 main mistakes for you to avoid that I recommend. The first one is not forming an entity at all. Gentlemen, if you don't form an entity and something goes wrong, they can sue you personally. They'll take your house, they'll take your car, they'll take everything you own. And if you own nothing, you say, Vlad, I'm protected. They'll put a bill on you to where you can never get credit again because you'll owe 100, 200, whatever, $1 million. You got to incorporate your business because if you don't, you're at risk of losing everything. Because if something goes wrong, they will sue you personally. And you don't want to take that. Who wants to be personally liable, right? Like all these companies protected me. So if something goes wrong, the company's there, you sue them, not sue me, Vlad. So that's one. Make sure to incorporate because not incorporating, you have no protection at all. Then the second point is, this point is that I think a lot of founders get wrong. A lot of entrepreneurs get wrong. It's not so much with filing. It has to do with corporate governance, right? So make sure not to have equal partners. I really mean this. There's many like companies I see and like, yeah, it's 2 of us. It's just me and this guy. And both of you are equal partners. And it always becomes a problem. You can never have equal partners. Ever. Every ship has one captain. Every ship, right? So you can never have equal partners. If you do have 3. Even when they send people to space, they'll have 3 people. You can never, because how do you make decisions? Right? What happens when you disagree? And you will disagree. Guess what? Building a business is like a super long marriage. You will disagree. It will become a problem. It will potentially ruin your company. Never in your life have an equal partner because you can't make decisions properly. Next point is number 3. Mistake to avoid is not researching your business. You know the reason I made so many of these mistakes is because I just filed and I did this stuff myself. I didn't research what entity, in which state should I file. I didn't worry about my annual reports. By the way, that bill, like you saw that $148,000 bill, that's real. Like that's real. And after my accountant went through it, I only paid $200. Think about that. You could have paid $148,000 and my accountant dug through everything, changed everything, filed everything. I only paid $200 because I didn't know. So research your entity. Find out which entity is right for you. Is it an LLC, limited liability company? Is it an LLC with an S Corp election? Is it a C corporation? Talk to an accountant. You'll spend $100. You'll spend $100 to speak to an accountant and find out which entity is right for you and in which state. Right? Remember, I did the nonsense and filed in Delaware. I did this with those 2 companies. So speak to an accountant to find out which entity you need to have and also which state you need to, because my actual accountant told me, Vlad, you live in Florida, you should form your LLC in Florida. I didn't know that. How am I supposed to know? All my friends are incorporated in Delaware. I even have my stuff in Delaware also. So talk to an accountant, get advice, and then take an action. This is a big mistake that people make. Next point. Keeping casual with business partners. There's nothing casual when it comes to cash and money. All that casuality goes away real fast. Whenever you're broke and you have nothing, it's all friendly, we're buddies, we're friends. Guess what? The second your business makes any money, all that buddy will go away fast. The train has left instantly because when it's time to split the money, things get real. So make sure the lesson for you, I recommend, put it on the books. Put it on the paperwork. Make sure to have the vesting in place. How much equity do you own? This much vesting, 4-year vesting, 2-year cliff. Put it on the papers. And again, I recommend have 3 of you guys. Have 3 founders. So this way you can always make a decision because there's 3 people to make a decision. So remember, nothing. Everything should be written. Everything should be in terms. The next mistake, incorporating in Delaware because you think that's where you should incorporate. Guys, you should not just incorporate in Delaware. As you saw me, myself, out of mistakes, I incorporated 2 companies in Delaware, one of which you can see the screenshot that cost me $148,000. What a win. Company with 0 revenue, 0 profits, $148,000 tax bill. Think about how silly that is for me. That my accountant fixed with $200. Don't incorporate in Delaware. Speak to an accountant. Find out which company you should set, and then choose the state where you need to be. Those are the 5 points, 5 costliest mistakes for you to avoid. Now I'll kind of summarize it briefly. Having equal partners. That's a kind of corporate governance, but don't have that. Always have 3 so that way you can make better decisions. Not researching your entity. Not researching. Speak to a professional. Speak to a professional, spend $100, decide whether LLC, whether S Corp election or a C Corporation is best for you. Find out which state you should incorporate in. Then don't assume you should incorporate in Delaware by default. And lastly, not forming a business entity is the worst. That means you formed a decision by not making a decision. That's very terrible, guys, because then you're not protected. So therefore, we covered my stories, we've covered the mistakes. And lastly, I'd like to say that thank you, Zen Business, for sponsoring this video. It's a great product to form your business. They're a great solution to incorporate your company. They'll avoid the mistakes that I made by doing it myself, and they're very affordable. That way you don't have to hire an expensive attorney to do this for you. ZenBusiness.com. Click the link below to incorporate your company, your LLC, your S Corp. These guys are professional, and they're really good. Again, my phone number, 720-431-2577. And remember, this is WhatsApp. Don't text me. Text me on WhatsApp. +1 720-431-2577. And I'll reply to everyone. Every single person. By March 12th, 2021. No matter who, I'll reply to your video. Whatever advice you ask me, I will help you. And again, I think this video is very helpful to entrepreneurs, given that I almost lost $148,000 because of my ignorance and my lack of knowledge, which is really what it was. Share this video, click that share button, get this video to entrepreneurs so they don't make the same mistakes that I did and they'll be more knowledgeable. So hustle hard, let's make things happen. See you soon.